In June, I injured my foot so bad, I wondered if I'd ever walk right again. But by using releasing, I was able to heal it so quickly that in just a few days, I was running up and down stairs. So check out this story about how the body can be the perfect doctor if you just get out of the way and let it do its thing. Check this out. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, the simple way to self-realization. So if you want total control of your thoughts and more happiness and abundance in your life, then you've come to the right place. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. And if you're a regular here, you enjoy the work that we do and you find that it's valuable to you, then make sure to hit like below and leave a comment. Let us know what you experience using the method and what it brings to your life. And if you want to share these videos with your friends, please do so, because it'll really help get out this method and Lester Levinson's message of peace, love, oneness, and stillness with the whole world. Because as we all know, the world could really use a method like this. Now, this method has brought great gains to me in my life. And one way that I've been able to demonstrate this method effectively again and again is on healing the body. And I had a chance to do that this last June when I was in Albania. Now, I went to Albania for the second year in a row to participate in a photography workshop. And it's an amazing workshop in an amazing country. That's why I went back a second time. And in this workshop, we spend 10 days traveling through the country, taking pictures, and taking those pictures during this time, editing them down to a cohesive story that we're looking to tell, sequencing these pictures to tell the story in a certain way, laying them out in a book, adding copy, writing, and designing a whole book that we complete by the end of the 10 days. It's just a massive amount of work, but it's so much fun. So we're traveling through shooting and bookmaking, and we're just go, go, go the whole time. Now, on the last day, the final day, we're heading back into Tirana. And at this point, once we're done, the whole group is, separating. Some people are going straight to the airport. We're dropping them off. They're flying right out that day. A few others, including myself, because of the flight schedules, we weren't able to leave that day. But we're going to stay in Tirana on our own one last night and fly out the next day. But on the way back to Tirana, we figured that, we had a little bit of time. Let's make one more stop. There's an interesting place that might make for some interesting pictures. It's this old communist chemical plant. And the place looks like a complete apocalyptic scene. The buildings are just dilapidated, crumbling down into piles of rubble. The pretty much only thing left standing are the giant smokestacks towering up into the sky. But everywhere else is just piles of rubble, boulders, pools of water that are like lime green. And there are other areas where you could tell there was water, but it's been evaporated away. And that evaporation left the stones, this turquoise and orange colors, leaving this coloration behind. Very, very creepy place, but pretty interesting place to go and photograph. So we stop there, I hop out, and I'm pretty gung-ho. Whenever we stop and we get to a place that we're going to photograph, I just go right into the scene, just dive head deep right into it. and get up close, take pictures. So I just kind of left the whole group and went exploring, through this chemical place. And I knew we're on a timeline, so I'm moving pretty quickly. But right as I'm kind of getting to a place where I'm getting a good vantage point for some pictures I want to take, I'm scrambling over a pile of rubble. And one little boulder that my left foot was standing on, it rolled out of the way, and my ankle kind of rolled. And as I did that, I stepped out to catch myself, and my left foot, my toe, got wedged into another rock, and I kept moving forward on top of it. So basically, my big toe got hyperextended so far back, it almost touched the top of my foot. And immediately, I was in excruciating pain. I was like, whoa, something serious happened here. Now, let me also explain why this was kind of serious, because this particular toe on my left foot, I've had problems with for almost 30 years, or probably longer than that now. Because this goes back to when I got my first road bike. Now, this is back when I was living in San Antonio, Texas. And near my home, there's a big hill that kind of comes down to where I live. And I'm on my road bike, and I just got a new cycling computer on there that reads the speed, how fast I'm going, and tracks my trip and all that. So I'm rolling down this hill, I'm picking up speed. But on my new bike with my new computer, I'm kind of distracted by the whole thing, and I'm checking my computer out, I'm looking to see what speed I'm going at. And then all of a sudden I look up, and I realize while I've been distracted by my cycling computer, I'm drifting towards the curb, to the side of the road, and I'm about to hit it. So in reaction, I jam on both brakes. Now, those of you who are familiar with the physics of a road bicycle, the light racing style with the dropped handlebars, you know that when you hit the brakes, especially the front brake, on a bike like that, what happens? Yep, you're right. I go flying over the handlebars like Superman. I just do a complete endo right over the handlebars, and I'm flying towards the curb. Now, luckily, there's the curb, then there's a patch of grass, and then the sidewalk that runs along the side of the road. I miss the curb and the street, and I miss the sidewalk. I land in the grass. That's all good. But I did have my left foot hook that curb as I hit, so it kind of jammed in there. And that's how I injured my toe. It just kind of compressed it. And pretty much for the rest of my life after that, it's been kind of sore. Not debilitated or anything like that, but it's something that I pretty much always feel. It's always there. And it hasn't stopped me so far from doing anything that I've wanted to do, hiking or other activities. It just feels sore. And then sometimes, if I was to stub that toe or, hit it on something, it would hurt for a while. You'd be like, ow, ow, ow. But after about 5 minutes or so, it goes away, and then just kind of goes back to the general soreness that it always has. So it's always been a thing like that. Not a big thing, but this June when I flipped it back like that, now this is something completely different. I hadn't experienced anything like this because, like I said, the pain was excruciating, and it felt like something's gone wrong with this toe, with my foot. But being as hard-headed as I am, sometimes I can be pretty stubborn. I decided to suck it up and continue on and take the pictures I wanted to take. And it's a bit arduous. I'm limping along. It's very painful. I'm going around, taking a few pictures. I didn't want to miss the opportunity. I could worry about my foot later. And then I start limping back to the van. And on my way back, they start calling me because they're like, hey, we need to get to the airport. We got to go. Where are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm almost there. I'll be there in a couple minutes. I'm injured. And I kind of step out into the clearing where I could see the van. And by that time, I can barely walk. And I just call them over. Hey, can you help me? So one of the facilitators, Dan, really nice guy, he comes over, gets underneath my shoulder, and he limps me along back to the van. So now I'm in the back of the van. We're on our way back to Tirana, and I'm in the back seat. I'm all alone. And so I can get settled down, and now I start releasing. And let me just explain real quick. I'll demonstrate a little bit later on experientially how you can release when you get an injury like this. But let me just explain the mechanics of it real quick. You see, when you suffer an injury, or you have some severe pain or other symptom that's going on in the body that you don't like, basically that pain or symptom that's happening is the body basically just ringing a doorbell, just like ding dong, hey, this needs your attention. What's going on here? It needs you to pay attention to it. Now, what sort of attention do we typically give our body or that area that's not working so well, that's having the pain, when it's having that pain? We give it negative attention, right? We get into fear. We beat ourselves up. We start, oh, why did I do that? Oh, I'm so stupid. Or we start beating up on that body part. Oh, I don't like what's going on. Oh, that hurts. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. We get into this negative mode. And when the body is ringing that doorbell, it's just basically saying, hey, there's a pocket of negative energy here. It just needs your attention. And what we do is we take that pocket of negative energy and we just start dumping more negativity into it. It's like throwing a log on the fire. And at the same time, we're trying to access our mind. We're looking into our mind for an answer of, what do I do about this? And our mind, if you haven't realized already, it's not your best friend. That thing is very negative. So especially when you are in a state of trauma, like physical trauma, that mind is freaking out. And it's not telling you sweet things in that moment. It's telling you, oh my God, this is so horrible. Your foot's going to fall off. You're never going to walk again, and on and on and on. Right? So we're trying to ask that thing for an answer of what's wrong with me. And it just sends us to the most negative places. Right? So this whole process of releasing involves letting go, figuring it out, let go of asking your mind. It doesn't know. It hasn't a clue what's going on. Your mind does not know. And catching yourself so that instead of reacting negatively towards what's going on, you let go of the negativity. You bring up the fear and just let it go right on the spot. And you bring up any other disapproval or negativity and just let it go. And that's it. And once you let the negativity go, that leaves you in just a very calm and peaceful place so that you can give your body the positive attention that it's looking for. And the way I put it simply is that the body is a perfect doctor, and all it needs is just your positive attention. It just needs your love. And then it fixes itself very quickly and very thoroughly, better than any other doctor would. And this is something I've proved to myself over and over and over throughout my years of releasing. I've used this exact process to heal a broken shoulder, to heal cavities in my teeth, all sorts of things. And so I've gotten a lot of practice doing this, which is why when this happened to me in Albania on this ride back to Tirana, I was already in a pretty good place because of my momentum of releasing over the years. I just didn't go there. I didn't go to my mind. I didn't waste any time trying to figure out, well, what's wrong? What do I do about it? How do I get back home? I was pretty positive and peaceful. Even though I was in a lot of pain, I really wasn't bothered by it. So I'm sitting in the back of the van, just nice and happy, nice and positive, just releasing as we're heading back to Tirana. Now, as we're heading back, I decided to take my shoe off to get a better look at my foot. So I take off my shoe, my sock, and I check it out. It's pretty swollen, not hugely swollen, not like a balloon, but it's definitely swollen. And also around the ball joint of that big toe, the big joint there, it looked like little lightning bolts of purple and red kind of showing up on the surface of the skin. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let's do some more releasing. So I'm just releasing along. We get to the airport. We drop off the people that are flying out that day, and then we head into downtown Tirana. And the next stop is my hotel, where I'm staying by myself the final night before my flight the next morning. And so as we are getting close, I'm thinking, okay, let's put my shoe back on. Now I'm just wearing New Balance sneakers. Nice and simple, easygoing shoes, normally. But trying to get my foot back into this sneaker, it was a no-go, right? Because any pressure in an upward way, pushing that toe up anywhere from being perfectly flat, was immediate, excruciating pain right away. So it's like, okay, I can't put my shoe back on. So I tie it off on my backpack. I gather my luggage. And Dan, the workshop coordinator, the teacher, he helps me get up to the hotel and get checked in. And he's pretty worried. He's like, you okay? You need anything? You're going to be all right? And I'm like, I'm feeling still just nice and positive and courageous. I'm just like, no, I'm good. I had a wonderful time. I had the best time of my life. It was a great workshop. And I'm okay. I got everything that I need. Don't worry about me. Have fun. Have a great flight tomorrow. And, we'll catch up later. Right? So I said goodbye. I went up to my room. And I'm staying at the Hotel Whiskey in downtown Tirana, which is a super cute, incredibly neat place in the way it's decorated, the vibe of it, and the people are super nice there. I stayed there last year. I had such a great time that's why I booked again. So I'm up in my room, my cute little room. I'm chilling out. And by that time, my foot is so bad that I can't put any weight on it whatsoever. I can't even do any sort of limping with it. If I wanted to get from point A to point B in the room, I had to only hop on my right leg. So that's the way it was. And as I'm releasing there that night, I'm wondering, well, what do I do? Maybe I should go to the hospital because obviously I hurt myself. And, this might need some sort of medical attention. But that's not really an option. I don't know where the hospital is. It's 10 o'clock at night. I had to leave early the next morning. What are they going to do for me anyway? And not only that, I'm wondering, well, how do I make sure that I even get to the airport? Because a year ago, in the same situation, I'm leaving early Sunday morning to go fly back to Amsterdam. And early Sunday morning in downtown Tirana, it's like a ghost town. And I remember last year I had to go walking like all around the block, all the way hooked back towards Main Street till I finally found a cab. And even that was a pretty sketchy cab. I was wondering if the guy was even going to take me to the airport. But I was wondering, am I going to have to go through that again? Find a cab, and how long is it going to take me just to get to the airport? Plus also, when we dropped the people off earlier at the airport, it was so busy there because Albania is now starting to become a tourist destination where nobody had visited it just a few years before. So they don't have the infrastructure. The airport is super tiny. And now with a big rush of tourists, when we were going back earlier that day, there was so much traffic that people were jumping out of their cabs and other, their cars to just drag their luggage up to the terminal, like a half a mile or something. And I was like, well, hope I don't have to do that. Plus, I'm flying through Vienna, Austria, as a connecting flight. And my experience going through the Vienna was that, that place is like a maze. You have to walk and walk and walk. You go through this corridor. Then you have to take this escalator up and then an elevator down and go through another corridor. Then you have to go through immigration again, show them your passport, get stamped through, then go through security check again, and then finally get to your gate. And I barely made it last year trying to get back home, on my connecting flight. So I was like, I'm going to have that problem again. But it wasn't even that I was worried about, because even if I was to get back to Amsterdam, 2 days later, I got to get all packed up and fly out to Romania, where I'm doing a 9-day retreat just a couple of days later. And I'm like, okay. I really need to get myself focused, because not only do I need a strong intention to get back home, but I need a strong intention to get to Romania and have a fabulous retreat. I'm not going to let this thing stop me. So that's what I'm releasing on now. And with that releasing, I'm not going into my mind, not going into worry, not going into problems, just releasing and holding in mind what I want, that everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to have a banger of a retreat, and my foot's going to be fine. So I'm just releasing like that all night long. Well, not all night long, for the rest of the evening. Then I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning. Now, the next morning, I have all my stuff ready to go. I get out of bed, and my foot is a little bit better now. I can actually step on it. Put a little bit of weight. I can actually limp. I don't have to go pogo hopping myself through the airport. That's a plus. Now, I couldn't put my shoe back on. That was still a no-go. But they had those little paper-thin white slippers, that some hotels give you. And I thought, okay, I'll use that. I'll just wear the slipper, and that'll keep my sock from getting too dirty, and that'll be good. I tried to put that little slipper on, just that paper-thin slipper, right? It's like the easiest thing, just slide it straight in. But just the pressure of that top little paper part sitting on top of my foot was pretty uncomfortable. But I released on it, and that discomfort went away. So I was able to wear that, right? So I went downstairs, and in the morning at the hotel, they had this restaurant area that is kind of like, it's almost like a greenhouse. It has glass all across one side. And I remember how the light was coming through, and it was just so beautiful, so atmospheric. The morning light is like a soft light, this glow coming through the place. So it was a very auspicious start to the day. So I'm down there. I'm feeling good. I'm still having some trouble with my foot. I remember I bumped my toe as I'm trying to get into that restaurant. And, whoa, that was a stinger. But I sat down, had a little bit of breakfast, and then I'm thinking, okay, I need to find a cab. So I asked the waiter there if he could call me a cab. And he said something like, oh, yeah, no problem. And then once I was ready to leave, I asked him again. I was like, so can you call a cab? Now, this next event kind of started the tone for the whole day. Even better than the tone of just the beautiful light coming in, and the beautiful morning that I was sitting having breakfast at. But what happened next just started a roll of harmony and just ease throughout the rest of the day. Because when I asked the waiter about the taxi cab driver, he just yelled across the room. Now, there were like 3 other people in the restaurant this morning, and one of them happened to be a taxi cab driver who had his car right there in front of the hotel. So the guy shouted to him, hey, can you take this guy to the airport? It's like, yeah, sure. So he scooped me up, grabbed my stuff, got me in the cab, got me to the airport. Getting there was easy, no traffic. And I limp into the terminal with my big backpack with camera gear and, trailing along my carry-on luggage of clothes. And I go up to the, the ticket desk. And I didn't even ask. I was kind of still in a courageous mood. I'm just kind of like an attitude of, oh, I'll do it all myself. But they saw me limping up to the desk, and they asked me if I wanted wheelchair assistance. And I thought, oh, sure, yeah, why not? that'd be good. So they grabbed me a wheelchair, and after that, it was like everything was taken care of. They took me through security, piece of cake in Albania. They left me at the at the gate, got on the plane, all of that, nice and easy. When I got to Vienna, they had someone waiting for me there. So the guy, super nice, really took care of me. He pushed me all throughout that airport. He must have walked a mile pushing me, in that wheelchair. But we had a great conversation. Super nice guy. He totally loved his job there. He's saying hi to people, the security people, like he knew everybody by first name. And so we just had a great time. He got me there to my connecting gate, nice and easy. I got to Amsterdam and took an Uber, got home. So I get back home. My foot's just getting better and better day by day. And I'm just continuing releasing on it because I still have it in my mind that when I show up at the retreat, I'm not going to let my foot hold me back or distract me in any way. It's going to be perfect. And the whole retreat is going to be perfect. So I'm just super focused on that as my end goal in my releasing here. And so we fly off to Romania. We land in Bucharest. And we have about 2 days before we head up to the retreat center. And again, I'm just releasing on it. And day by day, my foot is getting better and better. So that by the time we were driving up to the retreat center, just a couple of days later, I'm actually able to wear shoes again on both feet. And that's a great sign. And I'm walking still with a little bit of a limp, but better, right? At least for short distances before it starts getting sore, I'm like limping again. But I'm just releasing. So by the day after that, when we start the retreat, my foot is almost back to normal. I hardly have any limp in it at all. And I'm able to stand on it all day long. It's not slowing me down at all, not distracting me at all. We start off the retreat with a bang. And yeah, from there on, it was great. In fact, just a couple of days into the retreat, my room was several floors above the meeting room. And I was finding myself running up and down the stairs, going from my room to grab something, back down to the meeting room, and so on. And also, a few days into the retreat, my wife wanted me to go with her for a walk. And we walked like a couple miles down the mountainside into Braun, the nearest town, and then back up again, and no problem. So, basically, I went from what was pretty much a medical emergency with a lot of uncertainty of, what's going to happen. It was a pretty precarious situation. Being way out in Albania, having to get on the flight the next day, get back home, fly out again, and all that stuff. All of that, it just worked out perfectly. Not only was I able to stay up above my ego and all the fear and all the other negativity that thing can pull me into, and not even going there at all, but actually demonstrating a turnaround where at one point I was questioning, should I go to the hospital? I think I should, to, nah, I'm just going to have it my way and heal this by releasing only. And that's what happened. All right, so let's do a little releasing. And I'll show you how to take a body problem, whatever it is, and use releasing to turn the whole thing around. All right, nice and easy. Think about something that you're worried about in your body. Maybe you're worried about a problem that you already have. Maybe you have something that's already going on in your body. An injury, old injury, illness, or maybe just worried about something that might happen. What are you worried about when it comes to your body or your health? And notice what you're doing. You're talking to your mind. And you've been probably talking to your mind looking for a solution, right? How do I avoid this thing, or how do I make it go away? And you're trying to figure out a solution. But notice, you've been probably looking for the solution and asking your mind for an answer for a long time. And if it had an answer, it would have given it to you already. But you keep looking into your mind, right? How do I get rid of this? How do I avoid it? I don't want that. Right? So you keep doing it, and you keep looking, and you still have the problem. And it just goes on and on and on and on. Right? So you're not finding an answer that way. But the way the mind talks to you, it says, hey, anytime you don't know what to do, just ask me. I'm your friend. I'll help you find that answer. And it'll send you all over the place. Hey, go listen to this expert. Or go talk to that professional. Go read this book. Go listen to that podcast. And it sends you all over the place. And once you go looking all over the place, and you look here, look there, ask this person, you still don't have an answer. Then what does your friend the mind suggest? It says, hey, you haven't been able to figure it out? Here's what I recommend. Beat yourself up. Right? Right? That mind, it'll start getting you all sorts of crazy and negative. Hating what's going on. Oh, I can't stand this. This is intolerable. Make this thing go away. And then you start beating yourself up. How did I ever put myself in this situation? What's wrong with me? And on and on and on. And once you get into that, it's just like sliding downhill from there. And then the whole problem itself just gets worse and worse, and you never find a solution. Sound familiar? But that's what you get from your mind. It doesn't have an answer for you, and its only answer is to be negative. And right now, when I asked you if you're worrying about a problem, chances you are. And notice how long you've been worrying about that problem. A few months, a few years, longer, probably quite a while, right? You've been worrying about it and trying to figure out a solution for a long time and getting nowhere, right? Now, I think Eckhart Tolle said it best when he asked, have you ever worried yourself out of a problem? It's such a waste of time. Now, one of the things that we discover when we release is that the mind is a creative instrument. Now, of course, all the law of attraction people, all the secret and manifestation crowd, they all talk about this sort of thing, right? Hold in mind what you want, visualize your goals, and you'll achieve them that way. They're not wrong, but they're wrong about how to achieve that state, right? What we come to discover from releasing is that you're naturally positive. You're naturally powerful, but covered up by the negativity of the mind. And all you have to do to just effortlessly create what you want is to get the negativity out of the way. Now, clearly, if you're worrying, that's negative, right? Worrying isn't positive. It doesn't make you feel good. And check this out. If the mind is a creative instrument, and it's an instrument that deals only in pictures, and what I mean by that is, if I say don't fall down, what do you get a picture of? Falling down. The mind doesn't process the words not or don't. It just goes straight to that picture. Now, when you're worried about something, what are you picturing in your mind? Are you picturing harmony and solutions? Or are you just picturing that problem that you're worried about? And everywhere you look, all you see is, I got this problem, and I'm worried about it. I got no solution. So you're just holding that problem in mind. That's the picture you're holding in mind. And maybe that's why it's remaining. It hasn't gone anywhere. So I could show you how to remove the worry so you can remove that negativity, and then you'll see what naturally comes up is just positivity and a sense of I can. Just naturally, you only have to think about it. So first, measure your worry on a scale of 0 to 10, this problem that you have, that you're thinking about. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the most worried about it, and 0 being the least worried. Where are you? Right? So whatever number that is, whether you're at a 3, a 7, or a 10 plus, doesn't matter, whatever that number is. Notice if you've been saying no to that worry. When that worry comes up and you find yourself worrying there, you don't like worrying, right? So when you catch yourself worrying and when you're into worrying, can you see you're saying no to that worry? And when you say no to the worry, does that make the worry go away? Now, we've been looking at that mind as a very negative thing, and it feeds off of negativity. So not only does it have you be negative, and it's got you right where it wants you when you're worrying, because that's you being negative. But then when you catch yourself worrying and then you fight with your worrying, that makes you doubly negative. And then your mind's got, yeah, I really got you now. You see? So when you say no to the worry, not only does it not go away, but it makes the whole thing worse, right? The worry doesn't go anywhere, it just gets stronger and stronger. All right, so since saying no doesn't work, let's try something different. So look at that worry, whatever number that was at, right? A 3, a 7, a 10. And could you say yes to that worry now? Just look right at it and say yes to it. It's not complicated, just YES. Just say yes to the worry. And say yes to the worry a little bit more. And say yes to it a little bit more. And say yes to it even more. And say yes to the worry even more. And say yes to it some more. And a little bit more. All right? Now measure yourself again and see if you moved. Maybe just a point or two. Maybe you went from a 10 to an 8. Or maybe you made a big jump. You went from like a 7 to a 2. Just look, measure yourself again. See if you moved. Notice a difference? All right, so wherever that worry is at now, whatever number it is, again, could you just say yes to it? And could you say yes to it some more? And could you say yes to it some more? And even more. And could you say yes to it even more? And even more. And even more. All right? Now measure yourself again. Notice a difference? Now, if there's any worry remaining, what I want you to do is just close your eyes. And you could think about that body problem again, whatever it is that you're worried about in your body. Right? Think about that story there. Whatever it is that's going on or you're afraid might happen. Now this time, what I want you to do is just close your eyes and put your head down towards your stomach in your chest area. This will kind of get you out of your head. You just focus on what you're feeling here in your stomach or chest. And when you think about this body problem, notice that there's a tightness or contraction, kind of like a clenching feeling in your stomach or chest, associated with that worry. You notice that? And what that is, you feel that tension, that tightness. That's the feeling of you still pushing down and saying no to that remaining worry. And that's all that is. It's just your body letting you know that you're pushing down in your feelings. And all you have to do, wherever you feel that contraction, right now, open up an imaginary window or door right in front of that energy, right in front of that contraction. And imagine that contraction is just energy. And imagine that energy now just moving out through that door. However you want to look at it, just use your imagination. You could see it as light passing through, or water streaming out, or smoke or mist pouring out. But just let that energy go out that door now. And some more. And some more. And some more. And even more. And just open up that door and let that energy pass through. You don't need to know anything about it, why it's there, where it came from. It's just energy and it wants to leave. Just open up and let it leave. And some more. And even more. And even more. And even more. And let go of pushing down on the rest of the worry. And just let all your worry come up. And just see it as energy. Now going out that door. And some more. And even more. And even more. And a little bit more. And notice how you feel now. You feel lighter? And what number is that worry at now? Maybe it's all the way to 0. But just measure yourself again. See where you're at. And simply notice if you feel lighter. And that's all we're looking for. It's just a lighter feeling. Notice the difference. And this is the difference between you no longer giving power, your power, away to your mind and letting your mind just run away with negativity. But now you're taking your power back. And you're demonstrating positivity. And you could feel it. You just feel lighter and lighter. And you could even think about that body problem. And see if you're still worried about it now. Or at least much less worried about it. Notice the difference? Heck, you might even be thinking about that body problem and it might not even seem so real to you anymore. It's like, why worry about it? That's no concern. Everything's perfect. Now what you're doing, just in this very basic exercise here, is you see how you can take charge. You could take your power back from your mind. And when you do that, not only does your picture change, you're not so problematic in your thinking anymore, focusing on that scary thing, but instead, just naturally, you're feeling more like, I'm okay. Everything's good. I'm fine. You're, for lack of better words, coming from more of a place of, yes, I can. Coming from a place of solutions rather than just spinning around with a problem that never goes away. So the first demonstration is just noticing the internal. Hey, I feel good. I'm happy. I'm lighter. I feel freer. And my mind is quieter. It's not running on with negativity. And once that thing quiets down, my pictures are just naturally more positive. More coming from a place of, I can. I don't have to convince myself. I just coming from a place of, I know. And that's it. And see, just this simple little exercise, this basic demonstration, gets you so close with the real you, because that's what you're experiencing. When you get nice and quiet in that place of happy and positive and peaceful, that's the real you. That's not your body, that's not your mind, but something much bigger and much more powerful. It has all the positive energy to love your body. And you find that in that loving place, your body sorts itself out. It becomes the perfect doctor. Now, this is just the start. This is just a small demonstration of the power of the method. But you see what a big change this makes, both internally and externally. You might even feel a big difference in your body right away. And this is something that I've discovered in all my years of releasing. Whether I've been releasing on money goals or relationship goals or body goals, I found that it's in the body that you get the fastest and the most dramatic gains by releasing. It's like the body is a direct feedback mechanism to your releasing. It just responds right away. And you can feel an immediate effect in your body just by releasing. Immediate. So it's powerful stuff. And if you want to explore the real power, because this is just a tiny taste of it, then you can join me for 6 weeks here starting in September in the Body Mastery course, where we thoroughly go through how to release on any body problem, and not just on illnesses and injuries and things like that, but to really master your body in the sense of not have your body control you, but you are in charge, whether that's being in charge of your cravings and addictions, so you can just be in charge and not be controlled by anything, any urges at all. You could also control the energy that you have in your body and the vitality and how you feel, your alertness and awakefulness and aliveness, just effortlessly by releasing. So you just feel good and energetic all the time. And you could find yourself being able to do things with your body effortlessly the more you release. So we're going to be doing all of this stuff and ultimately discover more of our true self. The more we release on the body and realize we're not that body. We're something much greater. If you really want to find that out and demonstrate that greatness, then join me this September in the Body Mastery course. I'll leave a link to it up here and in the description below.